Hey everyone, this is Hatfield15 here, and if you guys saw Nintendo's E3 presentation last month, you will know that we have a brand new Metroid game coming out in October named Metroid Dread. Now, if you guys have been subscribed to my channel since 2016, you will know that I play a lot of Metroid games. I played the Prime Trilogy, I played other M, and I played a bunch of the 2D side-scroller games. Now, I'm really excited for this game, because it genuinely looks like it's going to be good, and also terrifying considering that Samus is once again the hunted. This time not being chased down by a ex-Parasite clone of herself, but rather these Galactic Federation murder robots. And this will supposedly be Samus's final adventure, as hinted by the developers who said it will, and I quote, mark an end to the story arc. So whatever happens in Metroid Dread this October, it's gonna be one hell of a finale, that's all I can say. But the reason I made this video is because I've got a couple theories for the story of Metroid Dread, like what exactly will the story of this final adventure of Samus's look like? Again, these are just theories, so take them with a grain of salt if you will. So before I actually tell you guys my theories, I want to go over a little bit of context so you can understand everything a little bit better. Fortunately, the prologue section in the first volume of the Metroid Dread Report, which is a series of diaries by the developers of Metroid Dread, gives the perfect amount of context, which is as follows. The X is a terrifyingly lethal parasite that takes over organic creatures, mimicking them afterward based on their genetic information. It once infected me too, but my life was saved, thanks to a vaccine created from the X's natural enemy, Metroids. Not only that, it made me into the only being capable of fighting this creature that threatens the galaxy. After a deadly battle with the SA-X, a copy of me at my full capabilities, I finally succeeded in wiping out the X, along with the planet SR-388. However, one day, the Galactic Federation received video footage from an unknown source, indicating that the X still lived. The Federation dispatched a special unit consisting of 7 E.M.M.I robots to the remote planet ZDR, believed to be the source of the transmission. Soon after arriving on ZDR, the whole unit mysteriously vanished. Does the X truly still exist? And just what is happening on ZDR? It's up to me, the only one immune to the X-Parasite, to go find out. So now you guys have a brief idea of what happened prior to Metroid Dread, and you guys know a little bit about the X-Parasites, and this is where my first theory comes into play. The E.M.M.I robots. Now, if you've seen the trailer by any chance, you will see that these E.M.M.I robots, aka the Extraplanetary Multiform Mobile Identifier robots, or just simply E.M.M.I for short, these things were originally research robots deployed by the Federation, but now they've turned into cold-hearted murder robots that are intent on killing Samus and giving her a Resident Evil-style death. This leads me to believe that the X-Parasites may have infected these robots. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Robots aren't organic creatures, so how can the X infect them? Well, in Metroid Fusion, there were two situations in which Samus found herself fighting a security robot that had become infected by the X. Or at least according to Adam, the X-Parasites had infected the organic components that formed the robot's neural network. Now, considering that these robots are controlled by the central units, which we see here, it's possible that the X may have infected those central units, which caused the E.M.M.Is to go rogue. If we take a closer look at a photo of one of these central units, we can see that they are organic in nature, kinda like Mother Brain and the Aurora units from Metroid Prime 3 Corruption. Now admittedly, there is a hole or two in this theory, because since Samus is capable of absorbing the X-Parasites after the events of Metroid Fusion, you would think that once she absorbs the energy from these central units and transforms her arm cannon into the Omega Cannon for a little bit, you would think that the E.M.M.Is would stop trying to kill her once the X-Parasite is removed from these central units. It is however possible that even when the X-Parasite in these central units is absorbed, if there is one in the first place, the programming of that unit is still foobarred, which is why the E.M.M.Is will still be hostile towards Samus even afterwards. Another thing too, whenever an X-Parasite infected creature is defeated, it'll always revert into the X-Parasite's true form, which is that floating blob of yellow jelly. We don't see the central units or one of the E.M.M.Is doing that in the footage we've seen from the Nintendo Treehouse presentation shortly after the trailer was released on June 15th. So this theory is in all likelihood wrong, but what if, just what if there was some sort of bigger central unit? As in like a sort of central unit that controls the central units which controls those E.M.M.Is. So what if that bigger unit is infected by the X, which caused those central units to malfunction, which then caused the E.M.M.Is to turn into murder robots? Like I said, this theory is most likely wrong, which brings us on to my next theory. A little further on in the trailer, we see about a second of footage showing none other than a living member of the Chozo species, the same species that raised Samus, created Metroids, and Mother Brain. Throughout all the Metroid games, we've actually never seen a living Chozo before. We've only ever seen the remnants of their culture on Zebes and Talon 4, as well as the phase-on corrupted apparitions from Metroid Prime. So seeing a living Chozo in one of the Metroid games is pretty damn significant. Now, is it possible that this Chozo will be working with Samus and helping her solve the mystery of what happened to the E.M.M.I robots? It's quite possible. However, it is just as possible that potentially this Chozo might be working against Samus. What I'm trying to say is, what if this Chozo we see here is nothing more than an X-Parasite in disguise, and that the footage they sent to the Federation was simply a trap to see if they can get the X-Parasites to spread beyond ZDR? This theory has a bit of a higher chance of being correct considering everything I just said about my first theory. Although, in the trailers we did see this thing, which looks kind of similar to the central units that I mentioned earlier, which could potentially point to the fact that a central unit could still exist. But like I said, these are both just theories and they could easily be completely wrong. And now that I've told you guys my theories for how the story will progress, I'd like to fill you guys in on some special plans that I have for the release of Metroid Dread. In the weeks leading up to the release of Metroid Dread, I'll be hosting a series of live streams in which I'll be casually playing Zero Mission, Super Metroid, and Fusion. I can't play Samus Returns unfortunately because when I did do a Let's Play series on Samus Returns several years ago, I was borrowing a 3DS from a friend of mine, and unfortunately I don't think I'll be able to get another 3DS for me to play. In addition to these NA% speedruns, if you can call them that, I'll also be posting a series of speed paints about each of the Metroid games leading up to Dread. Hopefully that'll compensate for me being unable to play Samus Returns for you guys. I hope I'll be able to make good on these promises, because by the time it's September, I'll be starting my first term at university, so I hope that won't interfere too much with my plans, because I really want to stream Metroid for you guys, and I really want to make those speed paints. Additionally, I'll also be streaming the first little bit of Metroid Dread on YouTube once it comes out on October 8th, so stay tuned for that. Anyways, thank you guys for watching this video, and I hope you'll be ready for October. Make sure you subscribe, comment, like, ring the notification bell, you know the drill. Till then, I'm Hatfield15. Space out, bros and brositas.